Yo, 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 it's your boy Hero, host of the Hip Hop Heroes podcast and Hip Hop Heroes Spaces. Shout out to all the listeners and subscribers. We on to some new endeavors here for the first time. We got the interview platform popping off now. So I want to introduce you all to someone very important. The man I'm speaking to is a window into the world of the street culture and the hip hop culture of the golden age. The man I'm speaking with right now is a legendary figure of street history from the famed Marcy projects of the 80s and one who is a fixture and witness in the landscape and the evolution of the golden age into the modern age of hip hop. Welcome to the homie Love. What's up, G?
What's good? How you, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you doing this. So, without further ado, we just gonna get right into it, man. First thing I would love to talk about, man, is just how do you see yourself in the present day as we sit now, and how do you want to be viewed as you are today? Let's start there, and then we work backwards.
Okay, well, right now,
is that the highest you can I can only hear you so well.
Okay, hold up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you a little better now. Okay. Go ahead, G.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm just, another ordinary man living a productive life in society now. Someone that can be looked at as an example, a good example. May I add, transitioning from what I was and to who I am now. Someone that people can look to for advice on, different topics. A great father.
Yes, sir.
And a hardworking, productive person in, this harsh society that we live in right now.
That's what's up, G. Cool. So I hear that. I feel that. And so to that point, though, can you speak to a little bit about what we working on now, what you working on now as far as current projects and endeavors and life and things right now?
Okay, yeah. Actually right now, I'm, working on my documentary, which is called 9 Lives, where I will get deep in depth on a lot of things that people would want to know.
Mm-hmm.
As far as who I am, where I come from, where I'm going, and a lot of the characters that, played an important part of my life. So I'm working on a documentary, plus I write, feature films. I got a situation, well, actually, I got 2 situations on the table, for featured films. Something that I really don't want to get in debt with right now.
Sure.
Because you know how that go.
Right.
It's got a lot of haters and a lot of, people that prey on your downfall. So, basically that's what I'm doing. I write films, I write documentaries, I'm still writing music. I'm connecting with a lot of people. Basically that was like one of the best things I've done was make the transition from New York to where I'm at now in Atlanta, because I just been, connecting dots and, things is looking good. I'm out the way, but I'm in the way.
Beautiful.
So, things is looking good. I don't have no complaints on that end.
Is there can we tell the listeners where they can find you at as far as platforms, or where they can maybe anticipate seeing some of your work?
Yeah, well, actually, right now, I was never like one of these social media dudes, you know, as far as always on social media. I have Facebook, I have Instagram. I'm on there, but I'm not on there. You know, I'm in process right now of building a whole web page, you know, and then I'm going to revamp my, you know, my other social media platforms as far as the Facebook and, the Instagram. You know, they can find me on Instagram at Love. A lot of the things that I'm doing, like I said, once I revamp my social media platforms, then that's when I'm gonna start dropping a few things that I got going on. You know,
Right on.
actually, outside of, you know, the documentary and the films, you know, we're working on a clothing line.
There you go.
Also the book, like, you know, I got different things going on, and I'm kind of taking my time with it, you know, because I don't want to spread myself too thin. So,
Sure.
you know, I'm just working on one project at a time. Like, I got two situations on the table, plus, you know, I'm working on my documentary. So once I get that structured the way I want it, then I'm going to start pushing, you know, things out for the public to see, because then I'll have something really tangible to give them. You know what I mean?
Sure. Now, at Love, is that the one I follow on Instagram? Because I thought it was something different. Okay.
No, it was Love Top Gunner, but I just changed it to just Love.
Got you. Right on. Cool. Right on. Speaking of books, there's definitely a book I want to talk about that was an inspiration to me. The Neighborhood Under Siege, written by Calvin Klein Baycoat, but we're going to get into that in a minute. One of the other question I wanted to ask you before we got into that, man, coming up, man, who were some of your, like, influences or, like, you know, heroes or otherwise, you know what I'm saying, and just life in general, like whichever area of life you want to speak to.
Okay, well, let me start with, first of all, I only have one hero in my life, and that was my father.
Right on.
You know, may he rest in peace. My dad passed away in 2017, but, you know, my father
Marcy.
was a real stand-up dude. Like, he was a real stand-up king. You know, that's first and foremost. And outside of my father, you know, just like the people that were closest to me first, like my brother, you know, Dean, which grew up in the 5% era. He was guard body, and my cousin Bowie, you know, and then I had a few other guys like Chunky Black and Sunshine and K-Sun, dudes that I came up under in Tom, you know, that was from Tompkins Projects.
Right.
Danny Game, you know, a few of the OGs I looked up to, you know, Stanley Burrell. Was another guy that was my big bro that, you know, I got a lot of love for. And, you have Ramel, my man Crimey, you know, Klein also was someone that I looked up to when I was a youngin', you know. So it you know, it was pretty much them. It's a lot of dudes that come from my city that were legendary dudes. For me to say, okay, him and him, I'll be, you know, naming dudes all day, but that's just
right, exactly. Right.
You know.
You mentioned your brother first. Did you say he was Nation of Gods and Earth, 5%?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Exactly. My brother was he was guard body.
That's what's up. Did you ever study those teachings?
No.
Okay.
You know, coming up when my brother was home, he tried to, you know, put me on to it, you know, and during that time, I was in junior high school, You know,
Mm.
um, my junior high school was one of my junior high schools was 33. That was the first one I went to. 33 was on Tompkins Avenue, right across the street from Tompkins Projects, and which is a block away from my projects. And pretty much the whole Tompkins, all of most, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of the guys that were in my school were 5%. They all was guard body. Half of my school was guard body. So, you know, my brother used to, you know, always be on me about that. And at the time, he knew 120, you know, and a lot of the guards knew and respected my brother for that. But I never took to that, given the, the circumstances that I was living under, because my family was diehard Christian. So they wasn't going for that.
I hear you. Same. I hear you. That's what's up. That's what's up, though. So speaking of your neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? You talked about some of the guys that were a little bit older than you. Who are some of the guys that were? I remember reading about the homie Tilo. He's from Marcy, correct?
Yes, he was. May he rest in peace.
R.I.P. to Tilo. Can you tell us how you met Tilo and you know what Tilo was like, just in general?
Well, actually, Tilo, we grew up in the projects together, and there's two sides to my projects. You know, there's a street, Park Avenue, that divides my project into two halves, and I lived on the Nostrand Avenue side, and Tilo lived on the Nostrand side, but we lived on two different sides. He lived on the Nostrand and Myrtle Avenue side, like Nostrand between Park and Myrtle, and I lived on Nostrand between Flushing and Park.
Gotcha.
So we would run into each other, you know, every now and then, you know, passing by, and it was more or less like a nod, what's up, and that was it, you know. And then his family ended up moving from the side he was living on to my side of the projects, and that's how we started to develop a friendship from there.
Got you.
About 15, maybe. About 15.
Got you. Y'all about the same age?
Yeah, Tilo was a year older than me, so you know, we pretty much was all like in the same age group.
Got you.
Tilo and all
Heard
the
you.
other guys I fuck with.
So taking it back to what I mentioned earlier about the book that inspired me, Neighborhood Under Siege, by the legendary Calvin Klein Baycoat, his autobiography, he mentions Tilo in that book. And he talked about, you know what I'm saying, several people. I believe K-Sun came up too. And Kendu, it was a lot of people. And it just sparked this rabbit hole I was going down. I'm like, yo, man, like, yeah, everybody that really knew each other, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's pretty much. You know, New York is a big city. But to us it's small. But it's a very big city. Just my borough alone that I live in is the fourth largest city in America, and I'm from Brooklyn.
Right.
So it's big, but it's to us it's small. You know, when you're living somewhere all your life, it don't seem that much big anymore. And that was pretty much it. You know, like I said earlier, a lot of legendary guys came from out of New York City, and most of them knew each other because we weren't, how can I say this? We weren't project gangsters. What I mean by that, we weren't the guys that's tough on the block, but we don't go nowhere. So, you know, we were who we were everywhere we went. It don't matter what borough, what town, what city, what jail, what prison. We repping Marcy, and we gonna be who we are, which was stand up dudes at the end of the day. And
If I
like
can.
that old saying, real recognize real. You know what I mean? So, you know, and a lot of times, a lot of guys, like you said, Klein mentioned in his book, a lot of dudes you meet in the streets, but a lot of guys met on Rikers Island. That's where a lot of relationships were formed, on Rikers Island. You know, connecting guys from Brooklyn to Queens to Manhattan to Bronx. You know, a lot of that was formulated on Rikers Island.
Speaking of Marcy though, can you speak to where, like, the journey with you and Tilo to, like, growing the Marcy Posse? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how did that come about? Like, and like, how deep was it? You know what I'm saying? If you can speak to that at all.
Yes.
Like, how deep was the crew, was the Posse at its peak?
Well, at its peak, I can say honestly about 10 deep.
Mm.
It was about 10 of us that were actually Marcy Posse members. Me and Tilo, we formulated that Marcy Posse. In fact, I gave Tilo his name. You know, and a couple other dudes that was running with us, I gave them names that they ran with, and these names of these guys became, you know, who they were. It started, we formulated this. It wasn't like, you know, the typical jump you in gang thing and all of that. Nah. We were just, you know, homies running around, you know, in our hood together, and we just started calling ourselves the Marcy Posse. Because back then, you know, it wasn't gangs. It was, they called them Posse or Crew or, you know, stuff like that. You know, the clique. We went with the Posse because it rhymed with Marcy. So that's how that became. And the members, it was me, Tilo, may he rest in peace, Shushan, may he rest in peace, Tree, may he rest in peace, Trini, may he rest in peace, Huck, you know, who's still alive in the streets, Half Pint, who's still in the streets, still alive, then you had Sugar B, that's pretty much it. Everybody. Then we have Bo D. I'm sorry, we have Bo D.
No Pizzo? Did you mention Pizzo?
No, I didn't mention Pizzo because Pizzo wasn't part of Marcy Posse.
Okay.
I'm just speaking about people that were really members of this crew.
Got you.
Trini, may I say again, rest in peace to Trini, his brother Gate. You know, so our team wasn't 15,000 strong. We wasn't 100 deep. It was us, but our presence, it felt like that because basically we put in a lot of work, and we had allies. You know, we had dudes that were from the projects and Marcy projects that hung around that we considered people, you know, and then we had the homies from Sumner Project, two dudes from Tompkins. We had a couple of dudes from Notion Avenue, Bedford Avenue. We had guys from Fort Greene. Like, we had allies. So when we was going places or things would happen, they would always say it was them dudes from Marcy. But a lot of them wasn't even from Marcy. They just was our people, our allies, and they was riders too. But, you know, we created so much havoc, you know, and dudes get caught up in that. They be like, it was some guys from Marcy. But it wasn't a whole lot of us.
Can you speak to, was there like a spoken of like code of conduct, like unwritten rules? Like, was there ways that you and Tilo had everybody moving that, you know, you felt was, you know, the way things should be done, if I could, for lack of a better phrase?
Okay.
The way things needed to be handled, lack of a better phrase?
Okay, well, let me start here. It wasn't we were leaders.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't like that. All of us was who we were.
Okay.
And, of course, we had codes and, you know, of conduct and rules and regulations that we abide by. And that just come from that invisible contract that you sign when you jump off the stoop or off the porch or off the steps, however you want to call it. If there is an invisible contract, and that contract has rules and regulations, and you have to sign, and you signing it with blood, because ain't no getting out of that. You can slow down, you can stop doing crime, but there's never no getting out of that contract. That is a lifetime contract, and it comes with rules and regulations. Of course, the guys before us, they handed down jewels, I would like to say. You know, of course, certain things, though, what a lot of people don't understand, let me just elaborate a little bit on
by all means,
code of conduct.
By all means.
First things first. Certain things don't come from the street. Certain things come from home. It comes from home first. You have certain things with you that you jump off the stoop with. Now, if you're being taught respect and to be honorable and to accept accountability and show love, all of those things you come out the house with. You know what I'm saying? All the other stuff you learn in the streets. No snitching. You know what I'm saying? Never tell on your friends. You don't kill homies for no petty bullshit. We didn't kill homies. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody got a problem with one of us, you got a problem with all of us. You know what I mean? And those are the things that we got from the streets as far as being Marcy Posse. You know, we clicked together and we learned early. If you walk with him, you ride with him. That's one of the rules. You know what I mean? You walk with him, you ride with him. I don't give a shit what it is. If he got a problem, whatever the problem is, we gonna handle it.
It's our problem.
If I got $5 and you my man, we gonna break that in half so we both can eat. You know, so certain things, like I said, comes from home first. And when you jump off the stoop, all the other shit you learn later. You know what I'm saying? As you go. Some of us learned, some of us didn't. You know, as far as that is concerned, still dealing with the code of conduct. We didn't play games with certain things. Like, times is different now. Back then, if you told, don't the projects.
Mm.
And if you did it, we might don't kill you, but niggas gonna whoop your head, and you're gonna be an outcast. You know, that's when the rules from that contract was, you know, held at high regard. Nowadays it's different. Dudes is telling, and then they come back to the hood and nobody's doing nothing, or he can tell on him and he's hanging out with him, and cause he got a little bag, they sweep that shit under the rug. It wasn't like that when I was coming up. And then, you know, you had a lot of OGs that were official. Like, you had OGs that's from our neighborhoods that were certified hitters. Like, so a lot of shit you couldn't do because they straightened it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we came up, you know, doing that until, you know, dudes started to dealing with Danny. That's when, you know, things got a little more structured.
Okay.
Dealing with the code of conducts that you're talking about. You know, he was an OG and he stood on his square and he expected everyone to stand on their square. You know, and some did and some didn't. Those that didn't, they outcast, you know, and that's just the bottom line.
That leads me to that you actually just answered the next question I was going to ask. I was thinking about, you know, y'all rapport with Danny, and I remember in the documentary that you made, The Godfather, Danny Diamonds featured the Marcy Posse.
Mm-hmm.
For the listeners, that's Once Upon a Time in Brooklyn, Gangster Chronicles. Check that out. I remember, I remember Danny's brother was like, he's like, Klein's a good dude. He's like, Klein's a good dude, but he's like, he's fuck up sometimes too. But I was like, it was real funny.
And it happened.
And
it happened. We all fucked up.
Nah, yeah, we all human. I just thought it was funny the way he said it.
Yeah, of course. I know David. David can be funny.
Yeah, he was hilarious in that interview or that documentary.
Yeah, and you know, on that topic,
what's up?
We're all unperfect human beings, so we made mistakes. We're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna keep making mistakes. And like he said, Klein used to fuck up. We all used to fuck up. You know, everybody fucked up somewhere. And it might be something minor, it might be something major. But most of the time it wasn't nothing that hurted anyone. You know what I'm saying? In the crew. You know, shit. We all make mistakes.
For sure. God bless us. No, it's something else in that scene that David was speaking on too. I remember he was talking about him and Danny. They had some business to handle, and he said Tata came around trying to get them to listen to some music or what have you. But I wanted to ask, what was? Can you speak? Did you know Tata in the '80s? Like, what was Tata? And like, if you don't mind me asking.
Of course, Tata was like my little brother coming up back then. In fact, Tata is Tilo's little brother.
Right.
So that's where the rapport is. You know, like, the rapport I had with his family was like my family when I leave my home. His mother was like my mom's when I left the crib. You know, his father, Mr. Jimmy, may he rest in peace. His mother, Arlene, rest in peace. Like, they were my family when I left my home. They had an aunt, Yvette. You know, I loved Yvette. I love her. That's my fam. So we had a very, very tight rapport. You know, me and Tilo and Tata and all of us. Like, Tata grew up under me, you know. So I know Tata very well.
was a platform. I can't remember who it was, but I was watching somebody on YouTube that was talking about, you know, Marcy in the 80s, and they said that I think they implied Tata was hustling. Was Tata hustling?
Yeah, we all was hustling.
Yeah.
We all was hustling. Everyone, all of us was getting to some money. And we started out early. Well, I can honestly say I started out early. When I jumped off the stoop, none of the Marcy Posse members that I mentioned, none of Tata or Tilo, none of them was in the street getting money when I got off the stoop and was chasing money, because I didn't jump off the stoop with the guys from my projects. I jumped off the stoop with the guys from Tompkins, and that's who brought me outside. The OGs up there, I was running with them, and what I was doing up there with them, I just brought it back to my hood and turned my niggas on to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how niggas started getting money.
Got you. And real quick, side note, Pizzo, he's from Marcy too, right?
Yes, Pizzo. Pizzo is another frontline guy. That's my brother. You know, my little brother. I love him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
He's always stand up. You know, Tilo. When we formulated Marcy Posse, even though he was outside, he was a little young. He was a couple of years younger than us. He was little, you know, but he was one that was always around. And Pizzo ended up catching a body early. When he was like 14, something like that. He caught a body on Marcy, and then he went to prison. You know, so I had went to prison right before that happened. I had got locked up, and then that's
what
when
year is
this? With Pizzo. This was in 87.
Okay.
1987. You know, Pizzo is a good dude. That's my bro. He's a real G. You know, he came a long way. You know, that same journey that we all walked. You know,
right.
He had a rough. The terrain he walked on was rough. You know, believe what I tell you.
Shout out.
You know,
also known as, yes sir. I mean, yeah, for sure, bro. Shout out to Success. Shout out to Success. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That he go by Success now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Success. And he's doing great things right now. You know, the same thing that we all doing, you know, striving for greatness. That's it. That's all you can do. And my bro, he's doing it well. I really commend what he got going on. You know, he's doing his thing right now, and I love it.
That's what's up. You know, same. I follow him on Instagram, and he's always making moves. I'm just like, yo, trying to get like this dude.
yeah, bro.
You know
bro make moves, and he's a good person to know. You know a lot of people, and he's not like a lot of these other sucker diggers. You know, you got a lot of dudes, they say to your people, and they might have lines to help you, and they won't. You know, it just be like selfish shit, you know, haters. And those are people that I despise. I
feel that.
do all I can to stay away from them and keep from around me.
Right, keep the niggas from around me. Nah, bro. And speaking of character, bro, I ain't trying to gas you or nothing, bro. But when you said you and Tilo wasn't the boss, wasn't the leaders, and y'all was all like the same, like that's real shit right there, bro. Like I know a lot of people. I've spoken to people from all walks of life and cut from that cloth and it might be 3 or 4 people, and everybody swear they was the boss.
It wasn't like that with us. But
you know, that takes real.
But if you ask some people, they would tell you that. Like, yo, Mobb and Tilo, they had that shit on smash. when it wasn't like that. You know, we all was who we were. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no bullshit because honestly, all the dudes that was members of mine, you know, niggas wasn't no suckers. They all would get money, and they all would bust their hammer. You know, when that time
demanded respect.
You know, they, you know, was about that work. So as far as like, any of us like walking around like how this gang stuff is, oh, I'm superior and y'all do this and do that, nah. And we wasn't going for that shit. That's a fact.
Makes sense to me. Speaking of Danny, so can you speak to, you know, legendary figure, obviously, you know what I'm saying? You speak a little bit about what he was like. I remember Klein's book that he talked about how Danny would bring certain people to his mom's house, and they would like meet up at his mom's house, and that's why I read him mentioning Tilo. He was like, you know, it was when it was time to meet up and discuss certain business. You know, can you speak to that at all? Like what that was like? Or
yeah, basically I'm not gonna go into name call,
sure,
but that was definitely a fact.
gotcha.
If you knew where his mama stayed at, Danny had a level of trust for you. And it was only, even with us, it was only certain ones that knew where Danny's mother lived. You know, it was only certain of us that knew where Danny lived. You know, and that was it. That was it. Danny, he dealt with a lot of important people, a lot of big wigs, you know, a lot of hitters, different people. And them people know who they are. And you know, I don't want to mention them. You know what I'm saying? You know, love is love to them all. They know who they are. And with speaking about that, I want to definitely shout out the heir to Danny, which is his daughter, Tiffany, little Muffin. You know, my little niece. She out here in the world doing what she do and making us proud. And I love it, and I commend what she's doing, and there's gonna always be love for her. You know, her father was like he was a real icon of what it used to be. You know, may he rest in peace. He left us too early, but like I said, that's the game that be. You know, with this life that we chose, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. And that's one of the points that I want to express to the young audience. This life we chose is about losing. It's about losing. You lose. You know, even when you think you're winning, you're really losing. You know, you can get out there and you can stack 100 G's a week. When them people come, and it's not a matter of if or when. I mean, it's not a matter of with. I mean, it's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when they come. Everything that you put your freedom and your life on the line for is gone. You're going to have spurts. Like the game is like, I don't know if you ever been on a seesaw before.
I know. Yeah, I hear you. Talk about it.
That's what life is. It's a seesaw. Ups and downs. That's what the game is. Ups and downs. And you're going to have more downs than you're going to have ups. You know, some of us are fortunate to have a long run. Like, I'm going to use, as an example, Big Leach. Big Leach and them had a long fucking run.
Yeah, 85 to 2005 is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But in the end, look at the time he lost. Was his run worth it? I'm going to say,
and that's
to some people, you would say yes. If a dude do 20 years, if he had a run from 2005 from 85 to 2005, and then you get jammed, and they give you 20 years, and when you got jammed, you 200 million in a game. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The run added up, but most of us
Right, that's a rare example.
Don't get that. Usually in the game, the risk outweighs the reward by a long shot. You got dudes right now sitting in the pen with 40 years that ain't never get caught with no drugs, ain't never killed nobody, ain't never get caught with no money. They just got tied in a conspiracy charge.
Conspiracy.
And a lot of people don't understand what that really means. And they're gonna find out. One way or the other. You're gonna understand what it means, and that's a serious charge. Like that's pretty much one of the hardest charges to beat ever, conspiracy, because all conspiracy is assumption. They assume you're doing something. It takes more than 3 to conspire, and they don't need no money. They don't need nothing to come bag you up and say, he said that you was selling this to him, and or you was part of this crew, and that person could be lying through their teeth, and you'll be walking that company for 50 years and don't know why you did.
Crazy.
So, I can't, like I told you earlier, that's what I want people to see me as, an example. Because whatever I tell you, I went through it myself, or somebody very close to me that I ran with on a daily basis, I grew up with, they went through it. So I'm not giving you nothing third party.
Right.
I'm giving facts. I'm not up here, like a lot of these guys you might see on the social media trying to make themselves bigger than what they are, and, talking about all of the work they put in and all of this other shit. At the end of the day, fuck all of that. What is you doing now? Because what we've done is over with. What have you become? So, what are you doing now? You was that back then. What are you doing now? Are you taking what you did back then and using it as a tool to help these youngins not walk that same bumpy road that we had to walk? Nah. In fact, they up there glorifying that shit. And a lot of these youngins are dying in the midst of that shit. And they're dying for nothing. See, the difference too, back then.
Talk about it.
When dudes were getting killed, and a lot of dudes was getting killed. Like, let me say this. People, if you ask the average person that came up in that era to now, and you ask them, yo, do you think it was worse back then or it was worse now? And most people will say, oh, it's worse now. Yeah, in certain cities it is. In certain cities it is worse. I can say that. But not in my city.
Right.
In fact, my city slowed down dramatically. And all you have to do is look at the statistics. Like, I can remember in my time when I was a youngin', back in the early mid-90s, the 80s, our murder rate, our homicide rate was coming in 2,600 at the end of the year. 2,200 at the end of the year. That's doubling what Chicago, one of the worst cities in America, is doing right now.
Wow.
So how is it worse? I can remember when the homicide cops used to walk around with T-shirts on that said, our day start when yours ends.
Wow.
It was like, speaking about those times, it was crazy back then. Like, it was really, really the fucking jungle, I don't watch So many dudes lose their lives and lose their freedom. Most of the dudes that we hear about and talk about in New York, a lot of them are just now coming home from the 80s.
Right.
You know what I'm
Like,
saying? In the early 90s.
like I heard about, what's his name? Mecca Audio Unique. Did I say that right? He just came home, what is it, two years ago?
Yeah.
I think he's from Harlem or something. I've been hearing a lot of names just popping up on like the YouTube channels just like making podcasts. Just like, damn, they did 25, they did 30, just getting home, and I'm just like, damn.
They coming home to a whole new world. And if you done been locked up 30 years, 35 years, and you ain't got no strong foundation like family, you coming home to what? You're lost. You're lost.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about that,
What's up?
when Pizzo, going back
Okay.
to Pizzo, I can remember me and him laughed about this the other day, talking about it. And I remember when Pizzo came home, and one day we at his brother's VI crib, which is my brother's stand-up dude. I love him to death. My bro was a stand-up guy. When the Danny Diamond faction was going on, VI was the lieutenant of the operation.
Gotcha.
We at his crib when Pizzo came home, and some chick gave him a number. And he like, asking me, like, how do I do this? Like, how do I put this number in this phone? He didn't even know how to work the phone. I'm like, how the fuck you don't? And then it hit me like, oh shit, I forgot. This dude came home. He wasn't home a week yet. He just came home from doing 14 years. When he got locked up, we didn't have cell phones.
Right.
So now, imagine what these guys are coming home to now. All the technology. And then it's a whole different wave now. These youngins are different. And I can say in this aspect, speaking about people saying that it's worse now, the only thing that's worse, the difference is the youngins, they don't respect the rules that come with that invisible contract. And that's why every time you turn around, it's them laying out there on the floor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They have no respect. They have no integrity. They don't take accountability for nothing. Like, learn from the priors, the mistakes of the people that were there before you. If I'm been here and I've been in this game, I've been in these streets for 30-something years, and you jumping off the stoop, how you know more than me?
Right.
And that's the problem. Like, when we came up, we didn't disrespect people's parents. We didn't disrespect niggas' moms or disrespect niggas' fathers, do shit like that to old men. Our women, we treated them accordingly. If you was a queen, you're going to get treated like that. If you a thot, you're going to get treated like that. That's how it was. We wasn't ganged up. Like, me per se and anybody after me you interview, if they know me, they're going to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. I ain't never need no 1,000 niggas to handle my business. If it was some work, we going to get out there and we going to get to it. We ain't need no bunch of niggas ganged up or jacking this or jacking that. And we didn't do that dumb shit. Like, it was shootouts and innocent people, yes, got caught in the crossfire sometimes, but it was different. Niggas knew who they wanted, and that's who they came to get, and that's who a nigga gonna get. Nowadays, you got these youngins, they shooting an IHOP and shit. Like, who does that?
Yeah. It's sad.
Like last year, right here out here in Georgia, I think it was last year. I watched on the news. It was either last year. No, it wasn't last year. I think it was 2022.
Mm-hmm.
It was last year or 2022. Dudes started shooting in IHOP. Young motherfuckers start shooting in IHOP, and the motherfuckers they shooting at, you know the drill. They don't never hit who they intended to hit. It's always some innocent person get hit. They shooting up in IHOP, and the only one that got killed was this woman's newborn baby. This baby was probably 6 weeks old. They shot the baby in the head. Like, who does that dumb shit? See, here's the thing, and these youngins need to listen. First things first, if you have a problem with somebody and you see them across the street or up the block and you start shooting at them, you ain't trying to kill that person. Because if somebody want to kill you, they going to get right up on you and they going to give it to you. If you shooting a block away or across the street and there's a crowd of people over there, of course you're going to hit other people that don't have nothing to do with your problem. And that's what I see a lot. You know,
that reminds me of not to interrupt you, bro, but that reminds me of something I read in Klein's book also, how he was like, you know, he was known for what he did, and he got word. He got word one time in the mid '80s that it was two dudes that was apparently trying to get some work, you know, trying to move some work in, like, you know, the areas that Danny, you know, ran without permission or something to that effect.
Right.
And he said he got the call and came strapped and had his, you know what I'm saying, hammers basically zeroed in on these two dudes until Danny put his hand up and was like, nah, we talked. And those two dudes ended up being Jaz-O and Jay-Z. That's what he said in the book.
Yeah, and in fact, it wasn't Jaz-O. It was Behaving in Jay-Z.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
I remember
crazy,
that.
bro.
I remember that. And we told Danny that they weren't hustling. That was in my projects. They weren't hustling because they wasn't. They was going out to Jersey at the time.
Right.
They was hustling in Trenton, New Jersey,
right.
and shit like that. Because during that time, if you wasn't with us,
right,
you wasn't getting no money in that hood, or we was going to get to your ass. You know, we done had issues with different people when it came to that, and Danny wasn't fucking around, and neither was us, and neither was we.
Makes sense.
Klein is from Red Hook.
Right.
And I knew Klein pretty much. I knew who Klein and them was because I had a big family out there, and I used to go out there when I was young. I used to be out there a lot. So before Danny even knew Klein existed, I knew Klein and them way before he knew Danny. You know, that's a fact. And I definitely knew Danny way before Klein knew Danny. You know, so I knew both of them from separate sides of the fence. Like, I would say, you know, from like, I knew Danny growing up in the hood when we was young kids. I knew Danny from back when I was a kid, like a kid coming up in the hood. You know, I had cousins and shit, uncles that was in the street, you know what I'm saying? Just like them. And I knew Klein from going to Red Hook and being out there with my family. And, you know, people out in the hood used to be screaming his name back then. Oh, Calvin Klein, Calvin Klein, Calvin Klein. So that's where I know Klein from. And then someone that I know that lived in Red Hook, but his grandmother lived in the next building from me, and that was my man Chanel. me and his younger brother were best friends. We used to call him Step Off. And Shamel is the one that introduced Danny and Calvin Klein. And by the time Klein met Danny, I was already getting money with Danny.
Right.
You know, in fact, I was like one of the only ones from my crew that was getting money with Danny.
So can you speak to, by the way, I did hit up, I spoke to, Klein's, documentary, like one of the dudes shooting the documentary for Klein, his videographer. I spoke to him on Instagram too, and I definitely plan on, linking up with those guys at some point because we were speaking a little bit, but, that's neither here nor there. I was just, I wanted to ask, can you speak to when you transitioned from hustling with Danny to, was it true in like around after Danny passed that you went to Maryland?
Yeah.
Was
not right after Danny died. After he died though, like right after Danny's funeral, I ended up getting locked up. And I was locked up for a little while fighting a case that I didn't even do. You know, basically another thing that comes with being in those streets, you become a victim of reputation, you know. So if you a guy that's on the front line, when shit happens, the police, the neighbors, and your name is getting thrown in the mix first. And that's what happened with me. I got locked up and I came home and, you know, I was getting into shit. And before I went to Maryland, after Danny died, I kind of lost the patience for the hustling, sitting around waiting for the heads to come, the cop. So I went back to something else that I knew best. I started slinging that gun. And that's what I was doing for a couple of years, like to the point they had a record that they stamped me with that was composed by KRS called Love's Gonna Get You. And it stuck. If people think when Pizzo, he had success, when he put up a birthday shout out for me, if people looked at it, they seen the pictures, they heard that music in the background. He put that there for a reason, because during that time, like, you know, I was into booking. Like, I don't know if you know what that means, but I was a stick-up kid. And
I know what that means.
I was running down on everything. And I mean, I didn't fuck with punk niggas. I was running down on whatever was available. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a shit who you was or who you thought you was getting booked. And if you act up, it would have went to the left. So I was doing that for a minute, and then I ended up getting shot. And after that, I had an open case also with me and my man Blood. He's in the feds. We had a case together, and I ran on the case. I said, fuck that. We both got bailed out, and I just was like, fuck that. I'm getting this money. I ain't, like, they gonna have to catch me when they can. And that's, you know, with the drama I had going on and the police coming to my door, knocking on my door constantly, looking for me for that warrant, that's how I ended up going to Maryland. One day, me and the homies was standing in the hallway, and, you know, the nigga was like, yo, you know, police coming to your crib, nigga, you out here blazing, niggas is going at it. Like, you need to sit it down for a minute, you know. And I took him up on the offer, and I went down there the first time. I didn't like it. When I first went there, I didn't like it. So I came back home, and I was home for a while. But then, you know, I still got this warrant, so the police coming to my crib looking for me. So then I ended up going back. And when I went back, it was in the summer. It was like in the spring. No, it wasn't. It was more or less like in the summer, like July, something like that. And then, you know, people was outside. I got to see what the towns was like. It was more relaxed. And I ended up staying. And that's how I ended up down there.
What's this, like 90, 91?
No. The first time I went was 90, 91. That's when I came back. I didn't like it. And then I went back in 92.
Got you. And when you say they were standing in the hall, that's Headache?
Yeah.
Got you. Very interesting, man. This is crazy, man. Like, your life story is I ain't gonna say unbelievable because I believe you, but it's crazy.
Yeah,
man,
and it's gonna
you a survivor, bro. Like more than a survivor, you many things, but you definitely a survivor, bro. That shit crazy.
And that's what it's about, surviving. And I'm gonna get more in depth when I do the documentary.
Sure.
Like detail. Like I'm not leaving no stones unturned. I'm definitely is going to give the public what they want to hear. Me personally, I feel like if this is what you're going to do, give your life to the public, give it to them. You know, there's a lot of dudes that talk, but there's a lot of shit that they're not saying. You know what I'm saying? And the things that they're not saying is what I'm going to give the public. You know what I mean?
Because I follow DeHaven on his platform, his various platforms, you know what I'm saying? I've seen most of his interviews because I've always taken an interest in this, you know what I'm saying, y'all's story and this era. And I remember him saying something like, it was like him and Jay, and then it was like at some point, Jay and Emery was like on their own without him. You know what I'm saying? Something to that effect.
Yeah, and
you ain't got to go. I know you got a lot you want to talk about on your project.
And I'm going to touch bases on that, definitely.
Got you.
You know, like I said, you know, people don't, it ain't what people say, it's what they don't say.
Got you.
That rubs niggas the wrong way. And on that note, like I said, we're going to talk about it on the documentary with that whole situation with them.
Anything you don't want to say or hold off on, I understand, but just if you don't mind, can you speak to like about what time period that was where like DeHaven and Jay, because he said like they had their outs and then Jay was in VA at some point. But like, can you speak to like about at what point it was Jay and Emery and Headache wasn't with them no more? Like what year was that?
It was like in the early, it was like the mid-90s. I can honestly say like 94, 95.
Got you.
You know, they
that's one of the things I've always been personally curious about. Got you. Because, you know, we got the records, you know what I'm saying, and then we got both their sides of the story in and out of song, you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
and you can't listen.
Go ahead.
You can't listen to a lot of shit you hear in those records.
Okay.
Because, you know, a lot of shit dudes hear in those records be false information.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that. A lot of that shit be cap. You know, these rappers, they be cap. Niggas don't, the truth is, the rappers now, they don't be about cap. They put in work. Them little niggas from Chicago and different places, And what people don't look at is these young guys that are rappers now, they were real gangbangers first.
Mm-hmm.
So they started rapping. Is that going to change who they are? No, they still going to be doing what they know, gangbanging. They just got money now and a little fame. So with the rappers of my day, like the 90s, the 80s, I'm going to just go back to the 80s because I was around from the beginning of hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To what it is now. And I can honestly tell you the rappers of yesterday, the 90s and all, them niggas is cap, bro.
Yeah, and that's one thing I figured out growing up too, you know what I'm saying? It's storytelling, it's fictional storytelling, it's, aggrandizing, and it's it's a little bit of like wrestling. As far as the content, you know what I'm saying, which is, fine. Some of the first stories ever, street or not, some of the first stories ever in hip hop were fictional stories. So I never really like held that against nobody, but as long as listeners aren't taking it to heart, then,
that shit cap.
It is what it is.
It's only a few of them from that time that was real stand-up dudes. That was real stand-up dudes in their neighborhoods and stuff like that. I can honestly say, like Fat Joe and them. Fat Joe, I know dudes, a lot of dudes from the Bronx. So, Joe and Joe's story comes from, replicable people that I know.
Right.
Joe was a stand-up real dude. Salute to Fat Joe and them. And then you have niggas like Raekwon and them. They was real dudes that was in the game. It was spurts.
Yeah. Rain Ghost was stick up kids too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the rest, a lot of them other dudes that be talking that real shit and they talk it the realest. They wasn't doing none of that. None of it.
Now,
I know, like, not from records, I know a lot of the artists that came up out of New York, personally.
Right.
Personally, from the street and in the industry. I've been around these dudes and, they not like nothing.
So, but no, before we started talking about, which rappers was really living their life and which, and which ones is cap. I mentioned the Haven side, as far as me watching his videos and him telling his story. When I was saying records, part of the records I was talking about is some of Jay records. Now, I know there's always two sides to a story and people have, their disagreements about how things. Okay, yeah, three sides to a story. That's a better way to put it.
You have the A side, the B side, and then the middle.
The middle that they leave, that both sides is leaving out. Yeah.
And
sure. And I get that, and I definitely respect that. I'm just are you implying that like, all Jay stuff is cap, or are you trying to say just like
no?
Oh, okay. I just for the listeners, I didn't want to misrepresent.
No, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying what Behaving is saying is cap. Like, they got their shit going on or whatever.
Right.
And me personally, I'm not with that. You know what I'm saying?
When you say you're not with that, what you mean?
I'm going to speak my truth. But what, like with Behaving and Jay going through, I don't do that. I'm not going to get on social media and blatantly shit on Behaving. I'm not going to get on social media and blatantly shit on Jay. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not the way.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I told the Haven myself that I'm like, yo, I respect both of y'all. Y'all both OGs. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I'm just here for the information and the lessons and the wisdom and the experience and understanding. You know what I'm saying? As a supporter of everybody's platform and wanting all us black men to succeed in our endeavors, and then to kind of eventually, if possible, clear up some of the misunderstandings and especially have somebody credible speak on it and then that can be something that everybody can cite when the comment section get out of pocket and be like, so and so's trash or this other person's trash. No, we got the real source here. Boom, drop it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where you come in. That's where real journalists come in. So that's what I'm about.
And I have my reasons why. You know, I've been standing on my square ever since I jumped off the stool. Not one dude can ever say I changed up on them, I got money and treated them a certain way, or I told on them, or niggas can't say none of that about me. I stood on my square ever since I jumped off the stool. So I have certain principles that I stand on. And with that type of situation, maybe it's just me, but all of that shit that's going on, niggas airing each other out on, all of that shit can be solved with just sitting down and having a conversation before it even got to the point. And I'm not just speaking on like Jay and behavior and shit. I'm just speaking on in general. Most of this shit could be solved, or before it even get to the point where it's really actually a problem.
Phone calls.
Dudes could have sat down and discussed that like real men do. And get up and walk away, and nobody has to die. You know,
nobody got to feel no type of way.
So, you know, like, and my thing is this too. Like when I drop my documentary or when I do interviews, I'm gonna wish all of them the best on whatever endeavors they're on, because I have no problem with none of them. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, none of them are the butt of my story. I'm the star in my story, not Jay, not behaving, not none of them. I'm the star in my story, and I don't need no supporting or nothing. Like, I can do my life story without talking about Jay, behaving, or a whole bunch of motherfuckers. It's not going to change my story. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of times people do things, you know, for whatever their eternal motives are. Me, I'm striving for greatness. That's it. And along the way, on this journey that I'm still traveling, if I can throw you a jewel or two, that's what I'm going to do. And it's up to you to accept it or reject it. You know what I mean? My main focus is speaking out to these youngins that I'm looking at going, damn, y'all need some G-checking. You know, it's out of control. I don't give a honestly, and I say this respectfully, I don't give a fuck what behaving Jay-Z. I don't give a fuck what they got going on.
No, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? None of that shit ain't paying my bills. You know what I'm saying? Putting no food on my table. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care about it. I wish it never happened, because we all was peoples at one time. You know, and then all this bullshit started, because all of this shit is bullshit. It ain't about no real drama. It ain't about no real drama. I come from the era where this drama,
where it was a real problem. It was real problems that you couldn't go back from.
Exactly. This is not problems. This is just a bunch of misunderstanding and emotions and all kind of bullshit, you know. So, like, I don't even care about that. You know what I mean? I hope at some point they can come to some even ground and let that be that. You know what I mean? I'm here for a different reason. And that is not my reason, because I don't need none of them to validate my story. Like, if you go and ask, let me ask you something. Anybody that's from Brooklyn or wherever in New York or Marcy, or you know, abroad, outside of New York, anybody that knows any history or know anything about Marcy, and you ask them, give me some of the infamous dudes that come from out of Marcy, my name is going to be mentioned in the top 5, dead or alive. That's a fact.
Right.
So I
No,
don't
I've been hearing. Yeah, I've been hearing about you for years before. You know what I'm saying? Before we linked up, I got a homie that's from New Jersey, and as soon as I mentioned you, he's like, oh shit, you talking to Love? You legendary. And I was like, oh shit, man, that's my homie Heritage Hip Hop. Shout out to Heritage Hip Hop.
yeah, shout out. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him. You know, like I'm talking to you. You know, we got a situation, but I'm here to be transparent. You know, like I don't
And I
have
only brought
nothing
up
up the sleeve.
right, exactly. And you already know, like, yeah, man, it's all love here and respect here. So, but speaking of some of the dudes, some of the rap, you mentioned Raekwon, that just takes me to like 95, you know what I mean? Which I think 94, 95, 96 is just like the craziest. Those are like my favorite years of hip hop, like as far as albums that came out. And so I'm thinking of like the Infamous was that year too. You know what I'm saying? And I heard that you was running with Mobb Deep at some point. Like, can you speak to what those experiences were like, or what maybe some of your favorite memories was like with that?
Yeah, I like P and Havoc. You know what I'm saying? I ended up moving around with them through one of my homies, Littles.
Okay.
Because Littles is from Queensbridge, and Success introduced me and Littles together. Because
Right on.
I was rapping, you know, and I get busy.
Right on.
Always did. And that's why they like, yo, bring him over here with us. Like, dude get busy, and he gets busy on the other side. So I met Littles through Success. Littles is my man. And he was managing at the time. He was doing management for P and Have and working on his projects also, and that's how I ended up getting around them. We had a few times summer jams, some of the clubs we went into, like, you know, it was a good time when I was around them. You know, things was great, and then shit went to the left also with that. You know, at the end of the day, when things did go to the left, I never turned on Prodigy or Havoc or Littles in them. I never did that because that's not my thing. I'm not going to fuck with you and we got a good thing and then I just turn on you. Nah. Some shit transpired and this situation, I don't know if you know who Rapping Noid is. And,
Big Noise.
Big Noid and Alchemist. Situation happened with me with them. I didn't like them. I didn't like Big Noid anyway because he's, you know, a lot of people would think he's from Queensbridge.
Because he was always collaborating with them and whatnot.
Yeah, but he's actually from Red Hook.
Oh, okay.
He's from Klein Hood. And I thought he was from Queensbridge, so I found out he was from Red Hook. And one day, you know, we was leaving Summer Jam, and we in the Turtle Top, and he must have. I don't know what he thought, but he was like, "Yo, we going to Jersey," because he had to go to Jersey. I'm like, "Yo, this Turtle Top is going to Queens," because at the time I was staying in Queens and some co-ops out there. So I'm like, this Turtle Top picked us up from Queens, and this Turtle Top is going right back where it picked us up at. And he more or less was like, but I'm saying, like, because, you know, he didn't know who I was in the beginning. So I had to check him, like, yo, dude, I'm going to say this one time. You better get the fuck away from this Turtle Top, because if I get out, it's going to be a problem. So he went and he told P and them. And P came to the truck. Prodigy, if you know, for your audience that don't know what P is. Prodigy came to the Turtle Top, and he was like, "Yo, bro, do me a favor." You know what I'm saying? he needs to get dropped off. I'm not going that way. He was like, please do that for me, Gunner. I said, all right, cool. So him and his man jumped in the turtle top with us, being bandana and us, and we blew it. And on the ride back, I'm like, yo, I thought you was from Queens. He's like, nah, I'm from Brooklyn. And I'm like, where? And that's when he told me Red Hook. So I asked him, I'm like, oh, word? I was like, I got mad family out there, casual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me who was my family. I told him one of my cousins that out there that was outside, and my cousin is real dark skinned. So he said some slick shit out his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, word, I know him, black ass Renzo, and him and his man laughing and like it was a game. Like, first of all, you don't know me to be playing with me like that,
to
bro.
be doing that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, word. So Bandana nudged me like, yo, chill, Guns, just let's drop this motherfucker off. So we dropped him off. I said, I got something for you though. We dropped him off, moving along. I had set up a situation with
this is all Big Noise?
No, yeah, this is all connected with Big Noise and Alchemist.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I set up a situation with Alchemist to sell some tracks to some goons from Brooklyn. They like, yo, we gonna put our claws in this nigga, and I stepped in and was like, y'all not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm fucking with Littles and Mobb Deep and us. We got a good rapport. How the fuck I'ma let niggas do something to this white boy? You know what I'm saying? And he's gonna come and make tracks and do whatever y'all want to do. Y'all gonna pay the nigga. You know what I'm saying? And it's not gonna be none of that. And basically, they respected that and they honored that. You know.
Wow.
So he went down there. He sold some beats. I get 10%. And he didn't want to pay me. You know what I'm saying? Once again, not knowing who I am. And I don't want to say I was playing the sheep in the wolf clothing, but that's kind of what it was, because I was basically being very cordial with these dudes. Like, I liked them. And like I said, I rap. All I really wanted to do was be an artist. The reason why I'm telling these stories right now, you know what I'm saying, because things happen and I want people to understand why it went there. Now, he owed me the 10%. You know what I'm saying? You sell beats, 30,000, like, I get 10% of that. You know what I'm saying?
When you say he, you talking about the Alchemist.
The Alchemist dude. Now,
Go ahead.
At the end of the day, the 10%, cool. I needed it, but I didn't need it. But I needed it because who's gonna turn down a few racks for just setting something up? It was bigger than that. I did it, and I made sure these wolves ain't chew you up in the process.
Right.
So when I came from my money, he like, yo, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you. He's playing games. So what I did was, it was two old samples. One of them I remember was Shaka Khan, and it was another sample. I'm like, fuck the money, bro. You do tracks, fuck the money. I said, yo, I got two samples. Just do these two samples for me. Like, make these two samples for me to rap over, and we call it even. He wouldn't even do that.
Wow.
He's bullshitting me around till one night. Havoc. This is when shit got out of hand. I'm like, that's when I knew he didn't have no intentions on paying me, because Havoc stepped to me and was like, yo, what you want to get done, Gunner? And I told Havoc what I wanted with the two samples, and Havoc said, you know what? Bring me the two samples. I'll do it for you, Gunner. He's like, fuck that. I'll do it for you. So that's when I knew right then and there. I said, this nigga gonna play games with me. So during the time, my ex, which is my kid's mother, she was pregnant with my youngest son at the time. So I'm not on a nigga. So the day that my son was born, I was in the hospital. I found out my son, I had another boy. So I went downstairs and I called the nigga from the hospital. Like, yo, bro, what's up? Like, yo, I need that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't do the samples for me. I need that. What came back to me, allegedly, he told Littles, like, tell your soldier or your soldier stop calling me or some shit like that.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I'm like, oh, word? I'm a soldier?
Wow. Wow.
Okay. Well, let's see if Littles can stop this, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the last time I seen them really was we had a big show at the Nassau Coliseum. We get there, niggas draped in their diamonds and all of that shit. And like that old saying, you're gonna feed the wolves or the wolves gonna feed themselves. And that's what happened. So the diamond chain and Lane Silverstein watches with all the diamonds and shit and all that in it came from Alchemist and Rapping Noise. I stripped both of them. No gun. So let me put that out there. No gun. I stripped both of them with no hammer. You know what I'm saying? Stripped them niggas for their jewels and all of that. Rapping Noise. Honestly, I didn't like him anyway, so he had a nice diamond chain on with a diamond cross on it, and he had a techno with diamonds and all that shit in it. And I ended up smacking the shit out of him and just taking his shit because I didn't like what he said about my family. And then,
Noise?
Yeah, that was Noise. And with Alchemist, I stripped Alchemist that night because he never paid me. And then he said that slick shit. And I just felt like, okay, since you said that, let's see if they can stop this. And I had, you know, a couple of the goons was with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they wanted to go in on them. And I said no. Because Prodigy had a nice diamond chain on with a Jesus head on it. With diamonds in all of that. And they wanted that and his Rolex. And I'm like, nah, y'all not doing that to P.
He was standing there, though?
Doing that to P. Yeah, he was standing right there when I stripped
Wow.
Wow. Like,
that's
I didn't
crazy.
have no firearms or nothing, you know. So that's what happened with that. And then everything went to the left. You know, the group broke up with Littles and them. They didn't want them Littles. We started doing like the dish records. So now it's dish records now. Littles going at them, they going at Littles. I'm on the records with Littles going at them, but they not playing fair because they going on the records and they making records, dish records, but they not mentioning my name, only Littles. You know what I'm saying? And then me and Littles ended up going our separate ways, and that was that. You know?
Not the white boy fucking up a good thing. That shit crazy, bro. That shit crazy.
Man.
That shit crazy.
Man. So for the record, I wanted to always go on record to let people know what really happened. You know, Littles didn't do nothing to them dudes. I did it. And it was because of what they did to me. I didn't just go up there and go, okay, I'm going to strip these dudes. Nah, that wasn't even on my mind. You know, and at the same time, Littles even know, like, during this period, I was kind of still in the streets. I was getting coke money in the street. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of, which I shouldn't have never done, I kind of put my shit on the back burner to fuck with them. Because I, like, okay, I got a line. Now I can spit. I do music.
It made sense. No, that made sense.
To walk through.
Yeah, that made sense at the time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, real talk. No, so real quick though, I remember hearing something about people in Mobb Deep's crew getting stripped a while back. I didn't know the details, but I thought, was Saigon involved in this at all?
No.
Or is that a completely different situation?
That's
you're familiar with Saigon?
Yeah, I know who Saigon is. I don't know what happened with them in Saigon. Like, I
Okay.
don't know. I never even heard about that story. I don't know,
Okay.
like, Saigon and all that shit. I don't know
I could
about
be.
that. But I do know a situation with, that they had with, True Life.
Okay.
And True Life got at niggas' asses because of some bullshit that P did. And, you know, I ain't gonna go into all of
No,
this
that's
shit
cool.
because it ain't my
Right.
business, but
No,
he
that's all
got at
good.
their ass too for
Right.
playing games with the dude. And that be the problem with these rappers. It goes back to what I said earlier. These niggas talk all this shit on these records, and niggas is not built like that. The dude True Life, he's built like that. The niggas from the street, the same street we all come from. And homie stepped to his business when niggas was playing with him. So it was the same situation with me. You playing with me, and I'm cut from a different cloth. You're not gonna play with me like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, especially if I'm keeping it fair, I'm keeping it 100, and on top of that, I'm in the clubs with these dudes. I'm in the clubs putting my life and my freedom on the line for these dudes. Every club, one thing I will say, a memorable thing, I can say this.
What's up?
Every club I was in New York City or wherever I was at with Mobb Deep, I was in the club with a 16-shot Taurus on my hip. You know what I'm saying? Now, with our tough New York laws, if I would have got caught with that slammer, protecting y'all motherfuckers, they would have finished me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And more than likely, y'all would have left me in jail and wouldn't have done nothing for me, and then I would have had to come home and demonstrate. I'm glad that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But this is true story. I done went in clubs and had to put hands and feet on niggas for these dudes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, I'm a
y'all
artist.
gonna do me like that? Right.
Yeah, I'm an artist. I didn't sign up for this shit. I'm an artist. I just came because I want to make music. I got sons I want to feed, and I want to do it the right way. I'm coming more or less like, okay, I got a line that's going to save my life, that's going to help me be around to see my children grow. That's how I'm looking at it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like walking into all of this shit. Like I was walking into all of this shit, and then, you know, I had dudes that was tough dudes. Littles ain't no sucker niggas. So, you know, he was having little issues with niggas. He wasn't playing with niggas. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot that came with them, and then P got beef with this person, that person.
That person, that rapper.
If you listen to the like I spoke on Gully TV, at the end of the day, and I explained what happened. Like, I was an artist. I didn't sign up for that shit, but look how that shit went to the left, and it ain't had nothing to do with me. But it goes back to what I said earlier. This is how we were raised. If I walk with you, I'm going to ride with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what kind of situation it was.
Word, man. That's what's
Same
up. I hear you.
situation with Jay and them. Like, same situation with Jay and them. You know what I'm saying? You know, around Jay and them, though, it wasn't that many problems, though.
Right, when there's too much static.
Like,
I remember Dave even talked about that too, that it was just money getting, you know, for the most part,
yeah,
you know.
You know, Jay and them had their shit because it was times I'm with Jay and them, and we in the spot, and niggas is fighting crazy. I remember, you know, we was in Delaware. He had a show out in Delaware, and it was at a college campus. And we was in there fighting damn near the whole school. You know what I'm saying? You know, niggas be hating.
Right.
And they're brawling with damn near the whole fucking campus in it. And we was putting hands and feet on the boys out there. You know what I'm saying?
You had a Jay, who, anybody else?
It was me, the people that was doing the fighting was me, D. Haven, Memphis Bleak, Sauce Money, and Ingrid.
Shout out to Sauce. Shout out to Bleak.
Yeah.
Bleak follows me. Bleak follows me on Twitter. We talked a little bit. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Great respect for that.
Me, Bleak, Source Money, Henry, and Behaving was the only ones fighting damn near the whole fucking school, man. And Jay and all of them was ushered to the stage. And we was brawling.
Wow.
And then we got on stage and still did the show and left with they bras. So, you know, it was a great night.
I'm dead. Y'all niggas is crazy, bro. That shit crazy. That's legendary, bro. I ain't even hold you. I ain't even gonna front. I know we supposed to be positive and non-violent, but fuck all that. That shit is legendary.
Yeah, you know, and I'm just giving you bits and pieces of my life. Like, you know, I don't walk around like. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you good.
I don't.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say that reminds me of Klein. Klein told me he was in a fight with Jay. It was like
I was there.
Maryland. The Maryland one?
Yeah, it was Maryland out in Easton. We all was there.
Yo.
I know exactly how that shit went. And
what was the name of that place again? I had it.
I forgot the name of that shit. That shit been so long ago, but it was in Easton, Maryland. It was on the eastern shore of Maryland. Some little fucking rinky-dink spot. And, you know, niggas was fighting crazy. It was like we was fighting the whole fucking town. And that all started from Klein cutting somebody in the club, but it wasn't his fault.
Somebody started it with him.
Stepped to him. And I think, to be honest, it was a mistaken identity. I think it was. Or it could have been dude was just hating because Klein had that 5 outside on the rims.
The green one.
Because we all wasn't standing there to hear what the initial little back and forth was about. But Klein backed out a razor and bust dude open. And that's when everything went crazy. Niggas was fighting. That shit spilled outside. Niggas in front of the club. Behaving, standing at the door because he was on the fight and he had the helmet. And it's like niggas was just running out the club to fight. And as they run out the club, Behaving standing there with the helmet and he's mapping niggas with the helmet as they run out.
Was it the Hog Net Arena? Does that sound familiar?
It could have been.
That's not.
Honestly,
that's somebody.
I don't remember the name of that club. You know what I'm saying?
No big.
But
no big deal.
It was on and popping that night, and
that's crazy.
Everybody scattered when the police was coming. Everybody was scattering, jumping in cars, even jumping on the bike. And Jay just happened to jump in that BMW with Klein, and they got stopped on the highway, and you know they got locked up. And you know I did hear Klein say on an interview one time, like. You know, he's the reason why Jay became who he was or something like that because he let Jay go home. That's bullshit.
Okay.
Jay went home because Jay ain't do shit. Nigga came and said, you cut me. You know what I'm saying? That nigga right there cut me. So what they gonna hold Jay for? You know, so...
Klein said Klein wasn't. Klein said Jay was putting in work in the fight. Was that not the case?
We all was fighting. You know what I'm saying? I was in the mix of the brawl, so I don't know what Jay was doing. I didn't see. I don't know what Jay was doing. You know what I'm saying? Niggas was just getting it in out there.
Everybody
was. You know, my thing is just tell the truth.
Sure.
Just
no, Klein said something like he paid the plaintiff 50,000, 50 racks to only put the charges on him and not him and Jay.
Listen, I'm gonna leave that alone. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's cool. It's all good.
That's what he said.
Right, yeah. It's all good.
Like
I thought
I don't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say Klein full of shit. And none of that. I'm just saying I don't have no
Jay
problem
wasn't
with
the one that cut nobody, so he wouldn't do the charges. The dude that was pressing the charges, Klein was the one that did it anyway. So I get it.
Yeah, like, come on. How they gonna press charges on Jay if he didn't do shit?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't cut that dude.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what that fight was. That's what all that shit was about. You know, and like I said, I'm not gonna get on here on
Oh
platforms
yeah.
and shit on none of the homies.
Right.
Even if I know you're telling some bullshit.
Yeah,
You know
even
what
if
I'm
you're not,
saying?
you don't agree.
Like,
No, I agree.
I'm
And you
not
can.
even gonna,
I hope you can tell. I'm not ever looking for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the platforms that get people on to try to stir up shit between them and somebody else. That shit is corny. You know what I'm saying? That's like hot.
We not.
You know what I'm saying?
We
Like
not
the
doing
kids
that.
say, it's
We
always
not doing that.
just respect. So that's
Because
what's up, Jimmy.
what I can say to you, I can say to the next man in his face. Like, I'm not that dude that sit around gossiping about other dudes. And if I need to say something to a person, I'm gonna bring it to the tip of his nose. I'm gonna tell him in his face, this is what it is, and whether he like it or not. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna tell him in his face, and it's not gonna be on no aggressive nothing. Whatever I feel I need to say to a person, I'm gonna say it, and he's gonna take it however he's gonna take it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But
so I got since we was just talking about Klein and DeHaven and Jane, I got one last question. I'm gonna leave them alone, just because I've always been curious. Like Klein, that same charge that we was just talking about, that put Klein away from like 91. You know what I'm saying? To 04. But he said in another interview,
no, that didn't put him away for that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That federal case put Klein away for all that time.
That's right. My mistake. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember he went away. I just remember he went away for 14.
Yeah, and he stood on his square as he was supposed to. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't like Klein did a lot of time, you know, and he stood on his square. And you supposed to. At the end of the day, niggas don't get brownie points for that.
Right.
You supposed to stand on your square. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what stand-up dudes do. And Klein took his charge, and he went and did his time and came home. You know what I'm saying? So there wasn't no backstory with that. Like, a lot of other dudes I know, there's backstories with their shit. You know what I'm saying? There's names and paperwork and all of that shit. Like,
so he did mention in that same interview I saw that he said he knew because he was still tapped into the streets while he was inside and whatnot. So he said he knew, you know what I'm saying, by like 96, Jay and Tata and them was in VA. You know what I'm saying? When Ain't No came out, Ain't No Nigga, that record came out. Can you?
I wasn't out there with them.
Okay, that's what I was curious about.
I wasn't out there with them at all.
Got you. No worries,
Virginia, I had nothing to do with that. 93, I came home, and the only one that came to me with a proposition with some money was Emory.
Okay.
He was the only one that came to my house. When he home, he came to the crib, gave me some bread, and was like, yo, bro, if you need anything, come see me. Just coming home. He like, fuck all that love shit. He like, yo, bro, I'm here. You want some bread? Come check me. And,
that's what's up.
You know, that was honorable. I can honestly say with Emory was always honorable, and he was always a stand-up dude. Emory did bids. This red bid that Emory came home from, Emory did a bid before that. You know what I'm saying? And never told on nobody. The same thing with this. He did all that time and stood on his square. I have a lot of respect for Emory and a lot of love for Emory because during the times that we were around each other, it was nothing but love. Emory is solid.
That's what's
that
up.
That is a fact. Emery is solid, man.
No
Shout out
doubt.
to Emery, man.
No doubt. Shout out to Emory Jones. That's beautiful, man. So and you don't, when you say Emory came to you though, wasn't they like, was at that point they was like partners basically, right? Or like him and Jay?
Yeah, him and
Or
Jay
like,
at that time, they were doing what they was doing together.
okay.
You know, they was doing what they was doing.
And did they have, and this might be going too much, so like, did they have like any type of like we talked about code of conduct back with the Posse, like did they, and nobody being nobody's leader, like was anybody quote unquote big homie at that point? You know what I'm saying? Like when it
I
was
don't.
Jay and Emily? Oh, you might
I
not know
wouldn't
about
know.
that. Go ahead.
I wouldn't
Okay.
know.
All
I
good.
know, like, and it's like I said, there's gonna be things on that subject. I'm gonna go deep in detail. You know, certain things like I'm not afraid to say I don't know. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what's up,
Or
and that's
certain
real.
things
That's honest.
I can say like I didn't have nothing to do with that. Like I
Okay,
didn't have
I'll leave that
anything
alone.
to do with that Virginia shit. You know what they were doing out there. You know, I didn't have nothing to do with that. We was in
Understood.
Maryland, and that was it. You know.
Understood. And that's what I'll leave that alone then, G. I was just curious. But yeah, man, that noise story in Alchemist, that's crazy, bro. So yeah, man, is it any other stories that you want to share that are like good memories, like fun memories from like, you know, I know like, you know, we talking a lot of ups and downs, but what about, you know, is any more ups that you want to share?
Yeah, I had a lot of good times. Like, I had a lot of good times with D. Haven. I had a lot of good times with Jay and Emery and them. We had good times. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
In my life, I had a lot of good times with them and without them. You know, I sit on my square and I'm still is. You know, I'm out the way. I gotta count my blessings and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I live in a big ass house in a nice neighborhood, got farms in the driveway. You know, I'm not where I wanna be yet. And that's that $1 billion status, but nigga ain't out here fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I'm just out the way. I'm older. I got my sons, which is my biggest accomplishment. My biggest accomplishment and the biggest great times I had was my children. There's a lot of guys out here, you know what I'm saying, that I know, that I loved. Got kids out here growing up without them. And that shit is sad. You know what I'm saying? That shit is sad. I got a lot of homies that's in the ground that they kids didn't get to enjoy that time with their fathers, just like my niece, you know, with Danny Dan, may he rest in peace. My niece, she was young when her father left, and I know that that's something that sticks with her because she loved her father, and she was his little princess. Like, she was the world to him. And like I said, you got a lot of dudes out here that's gone and didn't get to enjoy that. So that was the biggest enjoyment in my life. You know,
that's beautiful, bro.
The blessings to grow up. I mean, watch my kids grow up. And mind you, I was a single father. I had I have 3 sons. My oldest, his name is Demetrius, and then I have Teddy Jr., and then I have my youngest son is Tavion. And all my sons are grown now. You know what I'm saying? They not in the streets. My 2 oldest sons, they on the road doing open road. One is doing trucking, drive. You know what I mean? And my other son, the one that's younger than him, in the middle, Teddy, he's on the road. He's in Memphis. He's in Ohio. He's all over the road, and he's a tanker. He drives tankers. And my youngest son is into computers. So not only that was a blessing, but I have to pat myself on the back because coming from what I come from, most guys, kids don't grow up straight and narrow like my sons are when they in the street. You know what I mean? Or was in the street. So those was the great times I had. With my children, they loved me to death. I loved them to death. And like I said, I had a lot of good times. Me and Haven had some fun times together. Me and Jay and Emery and Tata. Those, to be honest with you, the best times is when we all was piss poor broke. Those were the best times.
That's crazy.
When all the money wasn't involved. See, when money is involved, that's when you see who's who. You know what I'm saying? Dudes change up on you. You know what I'm saying? When before, dudes was touching millions and all of that, it was a good time, bro. Like, niggas had their arguments and things like that, but it never went to this point, got to this point where, on social media arguing and making records about niggas, and it wasn't that. We all
not speaking to each other.
Times. And like, I had love for all of them. Genuine love. You know what I'm saying? It still do. I got, genuine love for niggas. I might not fuck with niggas, but that don't mean I don't have love for them. You know what I'm saying?
Respect as a man, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, y'all all survived and thrived through, war zones. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's I look at that whole era, like, you know what I'm saying, as someone that doesn't come from that, that type of life, like, I'm like, yo, this just needs to be studied, you know what I'm saying, taking examples from, and then the parts that, you know what I'm saying, like, we can use that, apply to every other aspect of life should be commended. And it's just like, yo, honoring people that made it through and came out whole.
Yeah.
But I digress. You know what I'm saying? I digress though. But yeah, bro, that's a beautiful place to round it off, man. Unless you got something else you got for us, man. I wanted to try to end on a positive note as far as like, the ups and the more the ups than the downs, and speaking to the honor and friendship and trials and tribulations that people have come through, and the history that was made. Shout out to Marcy. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a fact. Like,
and that's all I got, bro. What's up?
For the young, before I just do my shout outs, this is something that everyone needs to know, especially the young. Because all it takes is 5 minutes. That's all it takes. 5 minutes can make you or break you. Most of the guys that's locked up or shot up dead in the streets and all of that, right? If they just took 5 minutes to think first, their outcome would have been different. So I want to say that to all the young people, even the older dudes that's still out there, to think. That's all it takes. 5 minutes. Just think. 5 minutes to think. And that 5 minutes can save your life or save you from a lifetime of pain, walking that company, or, even worse. You know what I'm saying? So,
Real.
That's something that I always would like to, put out there, especially to the young, because they the ones that's coming up now, and they're our future. And if you don't take that 5 minutes to think, guess what? How you gonna think for the next 20 years if you can't think for 5 minutes?
Right.
So where that leaves our future, we won't have none.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's another thing that it's all about, is uplifting and pushing all of our people forward as best we can, doing our part. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I'm all about, bro. That's my whole platform, from a hip hop culture standpoint to a street culture standpoint to whatever, what have you. You know what I'm saying? How can we make things better for everybody? You know what I'm saying? So.
Of course, man. Of course, man.
Real talk,
With
bro.
that, I want to just shout out everybody, man. Everybody that know and love me. You know what I'm saying? From all my rest in pieces, all of them. You know, from Tilo to Shoe Shine, Tree, Danny Dan, my cousin Conan, my man Hash, Killer Ben. The list goes on, even to the women, beautiful women that left us too early, that I loved, like, you know, Mary, people from my hood, Mary, and then Sippy and Pearl, you know, my cousin Keisha, you know, the list goes on, you know, rest in peace to them all, you know, and all my G's nationwide, 'cause I know dudes in damn near every city on the East Coast of America, you know what I'm saying? You know, shout out to all of them, all my niggas in New York, Boston, and Jersey, and Philly, and Maryland, and VA, North Click, you know, Cali, my man Daddy V out there, big up. You know, we got to come together at some point and build self-support. Do you know, Black Americans, just us, we have like a 1.6 trillion buying power every year.
Real.
1.6 trillion, I mean, buying
pulling that
power
together
every year, and we don't own shit.
Right.
We don't own shit.
Talk about it.
How we got a 1.6 trillion buying power every year and we don't own nothing? And that's because we all are victims to it. Niggas is running out buying these people cars and dressing up with all this tight shit on, these dudes, and with all of this Gucci and Louis and all of this shit.
Yeah, blowing up other communities' brands and other communities' companies.
Right. Brands and brands that hate your guts because you black.
Right.
And all that money that we're giving to them, they're taking that money and they're weaponizing it against us.
Crazy.
Just like they did hip hop and this social media platform. When you look on these social media platforms, all you see is Black American men going at their Black American women and their Black American women going at us. You don't see other races of women doing that shit or men doing that shit. It's just us. And that's one of my tasteful.
Real. If I can, bro, that's one of my main motivations as a media outlet too, is to pierce through that bullshit and really rep for Black people in all spaces. You know what I'm saying? And like really like push conversations that are productive, that honor history and document history for the use of the future. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and putting everything into context so that people can see what we've been through, the whys behind what we've been through, and what we can do to move forward. And I think owning like our cultural exports. I remember Emery said something in the interview. He's like, we have cultural currency. It's like if we own our cultural exports, which in America is, you know, hip hop amongst other things, but it's all the things, the trends that we set. If we own that and everybody else is buying from us for all of their, you know, we can start with entertainment and sport because we occupy so many of those spaces. I read a book called Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, and he talks about that. Any space where we occupy the majority of, such as NFL or a music industry or fashion, we should be owners. We should be the ones reaping most of the benefits so that we can put it into our communities and then build up and alleviate some of the marginalization and oppression that's been heaped upon our communities since generations. So all of that is connected. Everything is connected, bro.
And we have to take accountability also. Like, I'm going to give you an example. When I was in New York, you know, a lot of the gang dudes, the young me, and one thing I just didn't like when they called me big homie. I'm not your big homie. You know what I'm saying? Big bro. And I understood it was just a respect thing. And I loved it. You know what I'm saying?
They were trying to be respectful.
But I didn't like that because if the wrong person heard that, oh, he the big homie, next thing you know, I'm caught up in a federal case that I ain't got shit to do with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I didn't like that. And I used to tell them, listen, don't come to me with all of these Ralph Cramden scams and all of this shit y'all want to do and do it. In fact, this is what y'all need to do first. Stop killing each other. Y'all ain't, and, you know, and I know some of them used to look at me like, bro, like, you know, we know what your legend is. Like, yeah, but in my era, we was at the height of the crack era, and I'm not making excuses because all that shit is bullshit. Like, you know, people say, oh, you hustling. You know what I'm saying? When you selling crack, dope, and all that shit in your community, that's not hustling. That's called destroying. Hustling is when a nigga out there selling T-shirts. You might see dudes on the highway, bottles of water, niggas getting up, going to work. That's hustling. You know what I'm saying? All that other shit is a destroyer because that's what it did. Destroyed our communities and took many lives. Now, with that being said, I used to tell them, listen, you want to impress me, make me a believer, stop killing each other and do something in your community. You got all these Chinese restaurants, all of these bodegas that owned by Dominicans, all these chicken spots that's owned by Arabs or these Asian people. The corner stores, the Arabs. Now y'all got all these dispensaries in New York because now it's legal and they're all owned by some white dude or some Arabs. How is it that y'all allow, or we allow, all of these people of different ethnic groups that hate our guts come in our neighborhoods and take all the revenue out of our neighborhoods? You want to impress me? Go tell all of these motherfuckers in your neighborhood, if y'all want to continue to operate here, y'all gonna pay us rent. Why you robbing him? He's black like you. He's out here just like you, or they going to work, or whatever they doing. He got $2 over lunch money. What you robbing him for? Go in there and tell them fucking Asians, or tell them Arabs that got the dispensaries and all of that. Y'all gonna pay rent if y'all want to operate in our neighborhood, because if you go in any other neighborhood and open up a business in an Asian neighborhood, an Italian neighborhood, Irish, any of that shit, you're not making no money. Some of them might step to you and go, like the Italians, you want to operate here, you're going to pay rent, or they're going to burn you out. And if that don't happen, any other ethnic group, you go into their neighborhoods and open up shop, it's going to be grand opening, grand closing, because they're not going to show no support. They're not supporting you.
They
why
looking out for their own.
Always doing that? Yeah, so why we always doing that? And it's crazy that we were so conditioned to love the people that hate us. And
Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yeah, self-hatred.
Yeah, bro.
We hate each other more than we hate the people that hate us.
You got a lot of unlearning to do. You got a lot of unlearning. Generation.
And it's gonna be hard, but we got to start somewhere. Like it was a pleasure. You know what I'm saying? Like, we definitely gonna do some things in the future. You know, I would like you to tap in with, you know what I'm saying? This
no doubt.
Conversation.
No doubt, bro. For sure.
We gonna work. We gonna work.
For sure, bro. And we gonna keep building.
No doubt.
Supporting each other. Man.
Peace to my bro Porky. He out in Alexandria, Virginia. You know, he's in that area. You know, DC, Alexandria, that Virginia vibe. Y'all know who he be. And peace to the big bro, Jazzo, man. and my
That's
man
what's up.
Black Star and Abdul and Sonny Carson and all my G's from Brooklyn, Marcy, stand up.
You a real one, love. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. And I appreciate you, Hero. We definitely
Yes, sir.
we gonna stay in tune, brother. You know,
For
anything
sure.
you need, you know, I'm a phone
Likewise.
call away, my G. You heard?
Likewise. Yes. Yep,
All right, bro.
likewise, bro. All right, man. Rap.
All right.
Peace.
All right. Peace.